Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're digging into something, well, a bit unexpected actually.
Yeah, that Manchester United postseason friendly in Kuala Lumpur.
Exactly, May 28th against the ASEAN All-Stars. And the result wasn't quite what many expected. A loss for United.
Definitely not. We've been looking across, loads of sources, YouTube clips, BD Man Sports, Stadium Astro, the official MUTV stuff.
Right, and the usual suspects too. Daily Mail, MMN, BBC Sport.
The Sun.
Oh yeah, The Sun, The Independent, Standard, How to Watch, even some TikTok reactions for the fan vibe. We've got a real mix.
So the plan, really, is to unpack this whole thing, understand the background, the game itself, what it might mean for United, for Amorim's start, the players.
Especially the young ones getting run out, yeah. And the established guys too.
Absolutely. And yeah, that loss, it definitely adds a layer, doesn't it? Okay, let's get into it then. Where do we start? Pre-match.
Yeah, the buildup was pretty intense, actually. You saw the scenes when United arrived in KL.
Oh, the fan reception. Totally. The club channels, fan vids, showed supporters camped out at the hotel from super early morning.
Wow, it just shows you the global reach, doesn't it? Even after a tough season.
It really does. And it wasn't just fans meeting players either. The Daily Mail reported Amorim and Omar Barada actually met the Malaysian Prime Minister.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite something for a friendly tour. Shows the stature, I guess.
Definitely beyond just football. Then you look at the stadium, Bukit Jalil. Massive place.
Yeah, capacity's like 84,000 right
Exactly. And Stadium Astro, BBC Sport, they reckon over 70,000 were there.
70,000 for a postseason game. That's incredible.
Shows the passion out there. Huge draw seeing United live.
So, okay, huge crowds, high-level meetings. But why do these tours right at the end of a season? Is it purely commercial?
Well, money is definitely a big part of it. The Mail and the MN, we're talking figures like 8 to 10 million for these two friendlies.
Right. Significant injection of cash.
Yeah, it is. But Amorim, his comment suggested, it wasn't just about the money. He talked about respecting the fans, wanting to improve the team.
And giving the young players a chance, presumably.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
He mentioned getting them experience in a different environment. So sort of a balancing act.
But is it, a bit risky?
Yeah.
After a long season, the men raised that point about player workload.
Yeah, that's always a concern. You're adding travel, more minutes. It could potentially backfire later on.
And what about the opposition, the ASEAN All-Stars? They're not just a random kickabout team, are they?
No, not at all. The Mail and Stadium Astro described them as a selection of internationals and league stars from across Southeast Asia.
Okay, so proper professionals.
Definitely. Apparently they first got together back in 2014, though Stadium Astro said this was the first time they'd assembled since 2014.
Ah, right, so long gap.
Yeah, but the players quoted by Stadium Astro seemed really up for it. A massive opportunity for them.
You'd imagine so. Playing against Manchester United, huge motivation.
Totally. And another factor, maybe an equalizer. Stadium Astro mentioned the pitch wasn't exactly Premier League quality.
Ah, interesting. Could affect the game's flow, perhaps.
Could do, yeah. Might have played a part.
Okay, so United's team. You mentioned Amorim wanting to blend youth and experience. How did that look in the starting lineup?
Well, the club's own info in the Daily Mail confirmed it wasn't a full youth team. Maguire was captain.
Right, experience at that.
Yeah, and Anana started in goal. Then you had Højlund up front, Casemiro, Mainoo in midfield. So some big names.
Okay, but academy players involved too.
Oh, yeah. Monroe and Morehouse got starts. And the whole traveling squad, according to How to Watch and Matchday Live, was big 32 players. Loads of youngsters trying to impress.
So a real chance for them on this tour, but some familiar faces missing.
Yeah, injuries and contracts meant no Martinez, no Yoro, Mazraoui wasn't there, Lindelof, Eriksson. That was reported by How to Watch and the BBC.
And Evans, his contract was up too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but interestingly, How to Watch noted he did travel, maybe for that senior leadership presence.
Makes sense. And Matchday Live suggested Amorim planned to use both halves to see different combinations. Strong teams in each half.
Seems that was the idea. Give everyone meaningful minutes, see the young players alongside the established pros. Less pressure than a league game, obviously.
Okay, so stage set, big crowd, mixed team, maybe a tricky pitch. How did the match actually unfold? First half?
Pretty quiet, according to the Mail and the Sun. Not a huge amount happening.
Any decent chances?
The Sun reckoned Kobbie Mainoo had United's best openings in that first period. Sounded like both sides were kind of feeling each other out, maybe dealing with the heat too.
Right, then halftime changes.
Loads of them for United. Mail and Sun both mentioned Fernandes coming on. Garnacho, too.
Ah, Garnacho. He's popular out there, isn't he?
Hugely. The Sun and the Man made a point of the massive cheers he got. Every touch, apparently.
Yeah, you can picture that. Any other key subs?
Tom Heaton came on for Onana in goal at the break. Again, likely planned rotation.
So, second half, more attacking impetus with Fernandes and Garnacho. Did United step it up?
They tried, but couldn't really break the All-Stars down. And then, well, the big moment came.
The goal.
Yep. Reports vary slightly on the exact minute, maybe 67th, maybe 71st. But Maung Maung Lwin scored for the ASEAN All-Stars.
Wow. Okay. And Mail, Men, BBC, Independent, all confirmed that.
All over it. The Mail said it came from a, quote, well-worked break.
And BBC Sport pointed out something quite significant, didn't they?
Yeah, first goal the ASEAN All-Stars have ever scored against United. History made, right there.
Incredible moment for them. And the score, Maung Maung Lwin.
Yeah, the Mail mentioned he's the captain of Myanmar, plays in the Thai League. So a decent player who took his chance.
So United are 1-0 down. How did they respond? Any close calls?
They definitely pushed. The Mail and BBC mentioned a long-range shot from Garnacho that went close.
Anything else?
Ahmad had a volley ruled out for offside. Fernandes even tried a Rabona, according to the Mail.
A Rabona, seriously, in a friendly...
Well, maybe frustration, maybe just trying something different. They had free kicks too, but nothing came off.
And did the All-Stars nearly get another?
Almost. The Mail and BBC reported a good tackle from Jimmy Thwaites prevented a likely second goal. So United were maybe getting caught pushing up.
Sounds like it got a bit edgy towards the end. Saw reports of a yellow card.
Yeah, Kukanki got booked for United right in stoppage time. Mail, NN, BBC all noted that. Maybe a sign of that frustration creeping in.
And Amorim on the touchline, how is he taking it?
The Mail painted a picture of him looking pretty annoyed, visibly frustrated, stony-faced after the goal went in. Even in a friendly, he clearly wants to win.
Yeah, you'd expect that competitiveness. And BBC's Simon Stone made an interesting point about the players' body language.
He did. Suggested maybe some of the United players didn't look thrilled to be there. Which, I suppose, at the end of a long, hard season, maybe understandable, but still telling.
Possibly. So the final whistle goes.
And it's ASEAN All-Stars 1, Manchester United 0. Confirmed everywhere. Quite the headline.
A shock defeat, as the Sun, Men, and Independent put it. The Sun even called it the worst possible start to the tour. Bit strong for a friendly, perhaps?
Maybe. But it grabs attention, doesn't it? And it does clash a bit with Amorim's fresh start comments that the BBC reported before the game.
Yeah, not the ideal beginning to that fresh start, losing to the All-Stars. What about the hierarchy? Any reaction from, say, Barada?
Yeah, interestingly, the Mail and BBC reported some post-match comments from him, talking about learning lessons, staying united, planning for the future.
Standard corporate lines, almost. Reassurance.
Kind of felt like it, yeah. He did mention they'd been planning transfers for months, though. Maybe trying to shift focus.
And the player ratings. The Men usually doesn't hold back.
They didn't. Gave 7 United players just 5 out of 10. Ouch.
Any specific criticisms?
They mentioned Højlund looked isolated again, which is, a recurring theme almost.
Yeah, finding that service for him. Anything else from the MN ratings?
Just a little note about Fernandes and Garnacho interacting on pitch. Called it a familiar sight. Maybe hinting at some typical on-field dynamics playing out.
But let's not forget the other objective of the tour, right? The young players.
Exactly. How to watch. Match day alive. They both stressed this was about minutes for them. Stadium Astro said Amorim wanted to see them in this different context. So, result aside, that box was ticked.
Okay. And speaking of future plans, that Matthias Cunha link seemed to gather pace around this time.
Yeah, big time. The Mail and the Independent were reporting United had met his release clause, what was it, $62.5 million?
Think so, yeah. And a 5-year deal mentioned.
That was the rumor. The Independent found the timing interesting, coming right after the season ended. New manager just in.
And Cunha's got history against United, hasn't he?
Yes. The Independent even brought up that goal he scored direct from a corner against Onana before.
Yeah, I remember that. It does make you wonder, as Stadium Astro asked, who's driving that signing? Is it Amorim saying, I want him, or more of a club decision?
It's a key question, isn't it? Especially with a new structure supposedly in place.
And it inevitably leads to questions about current players. Højlund again, maybe? Stadium Astro brought that up.
Yeah, and they even made a comparison to Anthony going out on loan and finding form. Just posing the question about what's best for player development sometimes.
It all points to how crucial that relationship between Barada and Amorim is going to be, doesn't it? Stadium Astro really hammered that point home. They need to be aligned.
Absolutely vital. And Stadium Astro also touched on those bigger underlying issues. The club environment, the recruitment strategy needing a fix.
They even mentioned a lack of trust in the decision-making unit. That's quite a strong statement.
It is. It suggests there's still a way to go to get everything properly functional behind the scenes.
So, despite the loss, the tour rolls on. Next stop, Hong Kong.
Yep. Friendly there, coming up soon. Mail, MEM, BBC, all the reports mentioned it. And the Independent said Amorim will be looking for a definite reaction, a bounce back.
You'd think so. But maybe perspective is needed too. Wes Brown on Matchday Live had a slightly different take, right?
Yeah, he focused on the positive side, the amazing experience for the fans in Asia, and the invaluable experience for the young lads just being on tour or seeing how the first team operates.
Good points. And finally, Matchday Live also had that tribute to Dennis Law.
Yeah, showed the new mural up in Aberdeen. Nice touch. A reminder of the club's incredible history amidst all the current, challenges.
Definitely. So, wrapping this deep dive up, it was certainly more eventful than your average postseason friendly. A shock loss, yes, but also valuable minutes for youngsters, and this big Kuna transfer bubbling up.
Yeah, and it shines a light again on those broader questions about where United is heading, the recruitment, the environment Amorim's walking into.
Which brings us to that final thought for you, the listener. When you look at this result in Kuala Lumpur, the single friendly, and you place it alongside the talk of big money signings like Kuna, what does it really tell you about the immediate road ahead for Ruben Amorim? How steep is that climb?
And maybe, how much weight should we actually give to a postseason kickabout, however surprising the result? Can it truly reveal the deep-seated issues, or is it just a friendly? Something to think about.
Indeed. We'll leave it there for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.